Hey guys, it's Cara from Enchanted Vines, and today we're going to be making a custom peony wreath, and this is going to be going on an apartment door. So an apartment door is usually smaller than the exterior doors that we design for. So I'm going to be using a 14-inch frame, and the goal is to have this be about 18 inches in diameter, and for me not to go crazy with the more is more attitude that I so embrace. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to clean off any of these stray branches. Okay, and I just like to use my hands. I like to manhandle my wreaths a bit, but you can also use scissors, you can use your wire cutters, and this one is clear of debris, but if you did have one that had a bunch of, dead leaves or pine needles, things like that, you want to remove them, because when we're gluing into our wreaths, if we're gluing into something that's already decomposing, that means that it's really got nothing to grip onto. So you want to clean those things out too. And for that, usually I take scissors and I kind of like wiggle it around, or you can even just kind of like hit it. So never be afraid of your wreaths, okay? You can really like smush these. So if something's like oval, like I'll just like put all my weight down and just pray for that wreath, but the wreath isn't gonna break. So don't be afraid. If something isn't the way you want it, you have to just manipulate it, and you're crafty, so you'll figure it out. But yes, your wreath is not going to break. So don't use a wonky looking wreath when you have the ability to fix it. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a hook using grapevine wire. And I love that I do this because it always disappears on me. Okay, this stuff really does do its job. It hides, so I don't know where it is. It's somewhere here, but this is grapevine wire. This is not my favorite kind. This is probably when I was actually trying to stick to a budget. Okay, but I got this off of Amazon, but also in my Amazon storefront, I have the good stuff. The price has gone up quite a bit. It's maybe like $13, $14. It used to be like $5. I don't know why. You can also get it at Michael's too. But what I'm gonna do is we're gonna be making a wreath that's full all around, again, not too full. And so I'm gonna take one thick branch, okay? And then I'm gonna take my grapevine wire, I'm just gonna feed it right through. All right, and then we're just gonna twist the ends. What we're doing is we're making a nice loop so that when our client opens up their wreath, it's just ready to go. All right. And because this does blend in so well with the wreath, I'm gonna mark it with a bow. All right, and I'm just gonna take any kind of ribbon, use a scrap or whatever, and just tighten a knot. And this is kind of like our North Star when we're designing. And it also, again, it just sticks out to our clients so they know where to, a suggestion of how and where to hang it. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do as far as with our materials is going to use ficus. I know ficus is not for everybody, but it is for me. Okay, ficus is a two-dimensional green. We're going to be using a blue-based ficus today. So if you're kind of learning like the families of like what's blue-based and what's greenery, what's blue-based and what's yellow-based. Sorry, hello. This is blue-based, so it's gonna go really well with things like eucalyptus, lamb's ear. They all kind of share that same undertone. Okay, it's kind of like almost like a pastel-y-ish vibe. And then when we're talking about using yellow-based greenery, which is our other family, you're gonna find a lot of greenery that actually legit has yellow in it. Like it could be ombre. But then if you pair it with something like this color green, this ruscus also has like yellow to it. So like this would be our yellow-based greenery family. This is our blue-based, okay? And it's not that they can never be friends, because they can. And in this case, we are going to be mixing our ficus, which is going to be our first layer with this. So just use your best judgment. There are no hard, fast rules when designing. If you think something looks good, then just go with it. You know, that might be the thing that makes you jump out over somebody shopping with someone else, is that you have the eye to say this goes, whereas maybe somebody else would have missed it. Okay, so follow those instincts. So the reason why we're going with this is because it's going to be coordinating with this client's. Bernie, are you bored? My dog is over here like groaning because she's had such a hard day. So yeah, this is actually going to be coordinating with an arrangement that she just recently purchased. So I want the greenery to match. So we are going with this type of ficus. All right, so ficus is like $1 when it's variegated like this. It's maybe like $1.25. Such a bargain, especially for what we're going to use it for, which is really just covering up our grapevine base. So I'm going to cut this in 4 places. Okay, so we took these 2 branches, bent them down. So we're going to make 1 cut at the base, 2 cuts at the base, and then I'm going to go down, cut there, and then I'm going to cut right before the stem gets thick. Okay, I call this little guy a nubbin. It took me years to realize where I got that word from, and it's from like Chandler on Friends. It's his 3rd nipple. So there are some words and phrases that I just at this point can't undo. But I always hold on to the nubbin. I'm not Chandler's nubbin, but this nubbin. I'm not necessarily going to use it, but I like to hold on to it in case I do have just an area that needs a little bit more greenery coverage. But really what I'm trying to use are the pointy ends. All right, so we're going to repeat. Okay, so we're going to clip at the base, clip 1, clip 2. We have our middle piece there, and then we're going to clip our nubbin. All right, and let's see, today we are working with our SureBonder glue pot. And so all of SureBonder's products, like, I mean, if you're not familiar, you know, your tools really do make a difference in how durable your work is, how easy it is to, you know, get a good flow going. So you don't want to necessarily mix different things. So like when you're using SureBonder, you want to use their products because their products are made specifically to melt the way that they're supposed to melt in these containers. Okay, so for this glue pot, this glue pot has like little fans underneath. If it gets like a circuit charge, I don't feel like that's the right word, but it doesn't matter. But basically, like if it got like some type of like circuit breaker issue, it would just shut off. But also, like, their glue is non-toxic. It's made in the USA, family-owned company. They're phenomenal. Okay, so again, like, you know, people have talked about they mix glues, like they put that, whatever that MX 6000 is, that is incredibly unsafe. That is toxic. So if you see smoke in the air or like, you know, it's just unsafe. You don't mix chemicals because unless you are a scientist, we're really not qualified to do that. So yes, maybe it has a great hold, but you also want to be able to, you know, breathe. So I recommend using their products with their tools. Okay, so I'm just gonna be dipping as I go. So let's see, can you see my little guy? So yeah, SureBonder has them in green, and then also they have it in pink, which is the Grace Monroe version. All right, so as we're putting this in, I want this to just follow the curve of the wreath. Okay, and so our products, they're meant to bend without breaking, very malleable. So if you realize that you did something the wrong way and you want to undo it, you're totally fine to do that. It's not going to break. All right, so I'm going to give this a nice bend. Okay, and we're just going to go all around our wreath just to get that base coverage. Again, just a 2-dimensional green, Nothing fancy, not a lot of money invested in it, but it is going to do the trick. So this is going out to my client Tracy, and I do love her. She takes her decor seriously in all the right ways. She really loves for things to coordinate. So when it's a change of season, it's usually a series of items. She's not a one and done girl. So usually she gets one thing, and Tracy's gonna see this video. No, not Tracy, it's Candace. Okay, well now Candace is not gonna see this video. Or Candace, if you're watching, I'm really sorry. Because I probably am going to show it to her. But yes, so she likes to have everything coordinated. Doesn't have to be like super matchy-matchy, but she does like there to be a certain amount of consistency that flows throughout her home. So I respect that. And so what I did was I took a look at the last arrangement. See, here's the grapevine wire. I knew it was somewhere. I took a picture of the last arrangement that she received, and it was a mix of hot pink, light pink peonies, some white hydrangea, and then 2 greeneries, which are going to be our ruscus and our wood fern. Okay, I always like to use 3 greeneries. I think it just adds a certain element of texture. So these are my 3 go-tos, pretty much almost, yeah, like across the board. So usually you're going to find ficus, and you're going to find these 2 guys. I might add more, I might mix it up, but these are my tried and true. These are all from Pioneer. So when you find a wholesaler that consistently has the items that you need, it's just so much easier than, you know, and if you aren't able to buy wholesale, obviously that's totally fine. It's just really hard when you're buying from somewhere that only has a small quantity of something, because then if you end up getting lucky enough to have, you know, a duplicate or a multiple, which is when you have, you know, a certain wreath or something on Etsy that keeps selling, it gets really hard if that item or material runs out, and then you're like driving around like a mad woman or madman looking for it. So for me, I love Pioneer because I can just count on them consistently. For years, I've been getting the same thing. I get multiple cases at a time, and it's not going to go to waste because I'm going to use these for everything, probably except for Christmas. All right, so there are some elements on here that I don't love, like there's these like little plasticky pieces, and to me it just drags down it from looking natural. So I am just going to clip them off. Again, you want to take the parts you want and just remove the parts that you don't, okay? And if you should cut something too short or whatever, we can fix them. Again, we're crafty. This is why we do the things we do. So we're gonna start with our pink peonies. Okay, and usually I start in the top left corner, and this is all like my whole thing on muscle memory, is when we've established a certain way of designing, whatever that is, whether it's you start, you know, on the top, in the middle, whatever, it makes it so that as soon as you get going, you're not overthinking it. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm overthinking something, like when it comes to designing, usually the more I overthink it, the more I tank the success of that design. You know, designing is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to enjoy it. It's supposed to be relaxing. It's not supposed to be this, you know, super calculated thing. So for me, it's just, it makes my designing flow better when I don't have to think about certain things like, where am I going to start? Or what am I going to do? So I like to work in patterns. And I like to kind of alternate. So like this one's facing out. That one's going to face out as well because I don't like how it's falling. Okay. So this one's going to face in. And you don't really want your flowers to be facing directly out. Okay, because when flowers grow in nature, they always tilt towards the sun. It's just one of those like charming aspects of nature. So you want to try and replicate that. And then Also, sometimes like these look like eyes. If they're looking right at you, like say you're using like poppies or sunflowers, something like that, it gets to be like too much if like it's just like the head staring at you. And you should always know how many of something you have. So like now that I'm looking at it, I really only have 4 of these full blooms. So I need to stretch these out and space them differently than what I was gonna do. And And for me, like I have no problem pulling something out. You know, I will say the Surebonder glue is so strong. I have absolutely punched myself in the face before trying to get something loose. But if you're one of those people that you want to lay it out first and have your wreath completed and then go in with like, you know, a glue gun and secure it, it's whatever works best for you. Again, you are the maker, you make the rules as well. No polarizing statements when it comes to designing. Oh, this guy again, he's got to face downward because he is not holding his petals like he should be. Go. And more facing out. There you go. So now, the fact that it's not holding its petals nicely is not going to bother us. All right, and let's just put these little accents aside for now. And let's go in with our hot pink peonies. And let's start off with 4. See where we're at. And so when you're doing kind of like a pattern, what I like to do is just go in 1 flower at a time, start with the bigger blooms, and then you're just gonna kind of backfill. And it's always nice to see how quickly something can come together when you do it that way. And also, you're not overthinking things because it's gonna lead you down a path to how to complete it. So we're again gonna start in a similar place. Not exactly the top corner, it's gonna be near it. Okay, this guy is facing up, so he's gonna face down. This guy's facing in. So this guy's gonna face out. This guy's facing out. So this guy is gonna face in. One more is facing out, so this guy is going to face in. So yeah, you do have a little bit of time before the glue dries to make some adjustments. And for these, I might even end up steaming them because some of the heads just, I want them to be nice and round. And some of these just look a little squished. All right, now we're gonna go in with our white hydrangea. These are from Pioneer. Okay, and I like these. I like their foliage. I like everything about these. So when you get familiar with certain bushes, like this one, I know that there's always gonna be 1 large bloom, like that. And then the rest are like this. They're smaller and they go like a little more like side to side. This is a better example. That one didn't look that different to me, but so this one's round and this one's more like side to side. So you just want to keep that in mind. I'm going to push up the foliage. We call these pushers, like in Mean Girls. So we can either push things up so that it's showing, or you can push it down just to take it off. But again, this has a really nice lifelike look to it. So I am going to put that large bloom aside for now, just so we can kind of keep some consistency or have everything be kind of uniform. So again, we're going to build off the first section we were starting with. Okay, and I'm leaving maybe like 2 inches from where the flower is to the wreath. And if you were building this for, say, like going in between like a storm door, you want it to be flush, because for storm doors, if it's an older house, you might only have like a 3-inch gap. And if it's a new house, you only have 5. So for those, I always use an 18-inch wreath as well. And so it's nice when you have a customer that tells you, or, you know, maybe they share a photo of what their porch looks like, something like that. If you are somebody that sells on Etsy, it's not the worst thing to include in your, you know, in your listing, like, you know, please let me know if it is going in between, you know, a storm door. I don't even have that in mind. Like, I don't know why. Because what's going to happen is they're going to be disappointed because the wreath is going to get crushed, and it doesn't look good when you have a crushed wreath. All right. Like, already, how quickly did that come together? We're not done, but like technically, you could kind of be close to done. Say it's been a long day. All right, so next, let's get into some of these little detailed pieces. Okay, so let's go with 4 of these and 4 of these. I don't feel like you can have anything clean when you're working. You're either clean and not working, or you're working and it's a mess. Okay, so again with these, I'm gonna take off these cheapy little plastic parts. They might look good on like how they list them online, and they might even look good in photos, but like up close, these are almost black. So if you're trying to make something natural looking, that is not going to work. If it's like Halloween or fall or something like that, maybe there is a place for it, but for something that's, you know, bright and lifelike for spring, I just don't think it fits. And then it has some other plastic parts to it, but I like them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with plastic greenery. We're gonna end up at the end using our Krylon UV spray, which this is my go-to. I know not everybody thinks you need to use this, but to me, like if I'm sending a wreath out that somebody's paid, you know, $200 for, I do not want to hear in 6 months that like the bow faded, the flowers are ruined, the greenery turned blue. So for me, spending $15, $13 on a can of, you know, UV spray, it just makes me feel so much more comfortable that I'm going to have a happy customer that's going to be a repeat customer. All right, so now let's start top left corner. Okay, with the light pink. Let's put it right here. Kind of going against our hot pink one. Nothing here. right here. So like, do you see the patterns that we basically just have 4 blocks? And we started with just the 1 peony, but every time we're going and we're making each block match. So you don't really have to put too much thought into it. So it's all gonna fill out. And it can be hard, like if you're newer to designing, to know just how much you need. And like, I always just kind of am guessing, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. So it's always nice to have extra. You don't want to cut it too close. And also if you're quoting a client, you know, you want to give yourself a buffer, you know, whether it's like $10, $20, $20 might be a little high, but you want to have a buffer that, you know, you might need an extra bush of greenery. You might need a few more flowers. Like, you have to make sure that you're not going to lose money because you quoted something wrong, or you just like underestimated what something was going to require. Not wrong. Pricing is not the most fun thing to master by any means. Here we go. And now I'm starting to see a lot of glue strings, and when that happens, that means that my glue pot is too low. So I'm just gonna turn it up a little bit. Okay. All right, now we're gonna go in with our greenery. So these bushes, I think they're probably like, I think when you know, the price obviously goes down the more you buy, and I feel like these are, if you buy more than 24, I feel like the price is like $5.50, which I use these in everything. They go perfectly, you know, they're nice because they're pushers. They look really pretty in arrangements if you want to keep things nice and airy. They're just one of those greens that, you know, it can go anywhere. It's very, very versatile. So it's nice to kind of have your own combo that you know where you can get it. You know what you're looking for. All right. So guess where we're going to start? Yep, top corner. Okay, and what's also nice about this is the way things grow in nature. You know, not everything grows like super neat and organized. So I kind of call these disruptors, which is just something that it's creating some space in between our blooms so that we can get a better view of an individual bloom. And it also just reminds me of, like, if you're walking through the woods and you see something growing, like, how is it growing? It's all of these parts are kind of like growing, like woven into one another. And when we're going for a natural look, that's what I'm looking for. It's just a nice airy filler. We're just working our way around. Looking for wherever there's gaps. And if you should see there's just a big hole in one spot and you don't think it needs a flower, like, either you could grab one of these like accent flowers, or you could add more greenery. Like, I think the thing that would throw it off the most is if you added like just one of these somewhere, because this is nice and balanced. But the smaller items, it's not going to throw it off if you add some extra. I lied. This one is really the last one. All right, how do we think it's looking? I'm always at a little bit of a disadvantage because of the angle. All right, so now we're gonna use our Ruscas. This is another pusher. I love this because it's very dramatic. It's more dramatic than I even, because it just, the way it kind of drapes, and you'll see, it's beautiful. It's great at separating our blooms, but also it's great at just kind of like hanging down in unexpected ways and places. So I hope you like it as much as I do. Another Pioneer one. I think it's probably, you know, in the $5 range. More you buy, more you save. And I don't have like an affiliate link or anything with Pioneer. They don't do that. But if you look on their website, if you are somebody that buys wholesale and you buy like, you know, you might do like one big order at the beginning of the season or something. If you look under their frequently asked questions, they have a chart, and basically like if you spend $1,000, there's an automatic, it's not automatic, I'm sorry, it would be great if it was. There's a coupon code for that. And if you hit like the $2,000 mark or the $3,000 mark. So I didn't know that for years, and oh my gosh, I was like so bummed. I was glad I found it, but then I'm like, why didn't I know this? It's always a coupon, because I would have just done, you know, bigger orders and all that stuff. But yes, if you should shop them, definitely find that coupon code in the frequently asked questions. All right, gonna start top left. You're probably sick of me saying it, but that's muscle memory. All right, so see the drama? That doesn't look like nature. I don't know what this is. Things just growing wherever and however they want. All right, so we kind of covered the inside. Now we're gonna go around the outside. Where do you think we're starting? I know, my little game. You're tired of it. I don't blame you. I really don't. I just can't help it. Muscle memory just makes everything so much easier. And there are just some designs that I can make in such a short amount of time, or there are things that I can just take like 2 hours when it's so not necessary. So the sooner I can figure out what the muscle memory plan is, the quicker I can get things done without stressing. Like double door wreaths, those stress me out so badly. It's like I got 2 easels going. I'm trying to do everything exact. And I know they're good money. Like I get pumped when I get an order for them, and then it's immediately like just doom. Because it's just, to me, like that does need a certain level of precision, and I'm like so OCD that it's just gonna irk me if they're not, you know, like matchy. And I know it's like eyebrows, like they're not twins, they're sisters, but still, it takes a lot of work. And some people are just naturally really good at it. They have a great formula to it. For me, I could do a little bit more work in that department. All right, so I am loving this. I do think I want to use a couple, let's see, do we have any more of the light pink? No. All right, let's use just a couple more of these dark pink accents. Let's do 2 and 2. Bruno's on the move. Yeah, and even you can see here like the leaves that they're bent. This definitely needs to be steamed. So it's just one of those handheld steamers. You know, they cost like maybe 25 bucks on Amazon. I also can tag that. And I think they're great, not only for just like if you have florals that arrive smushed like this, but also if you have a wreath that needs to be refreshed. So it's also a great thing to show your customers because, you know, if they're gonna spend 200 bucks on a wreath, you wanna make sure that you've done everything you can for it to last as long as possible. And they don't know what they don't know, just like we don't know what we don't know. So, you know, a trick like that is really invaluable to somebody who really cares about those things. Like my girl Amy Landino, she takes her wreaths very seriously. And when I sent her a video on how to like refresh her wreaths, she was like, I didn't know this. I didn't know this. So now she takes such good care of her wreaths. Not everybody might care. They might say, I'll just buy a new one when it's time, but certain people do like those things. For me, at the end of every season, I have a whole system where I take my wreath down. I use a hairdryer to just blow off any like dust or dirt. Then I use the steamer, and then I spray it again, Krylon UV spray. And then I put a 30 or 33 gallon like clear recycling bag over it, and I just hang it in the basement. So this way it's not getting exposed to like any dust, dog, hair, moisture, any of that stuff. And also if I have a wreath that hasn't sold and it's in my basement, I have racks hanging from the ceiling that one of my brilliant engineer friends did for me. And if you're new to my videos, you know I feel very strongly that you should always be nice to nerds because they can do things that you will never be able to do. So my friend Brian is such a great nerd because why on earth does he care how I hang my wreaths? But he loves the challenge. So they all hang from like those grids like you use like if you're on a craft show. I already had them. He just said like, let's do it this way. So it gave me back all my floor space. Sorry, got on my soapbox about the nerds again. But it is an important lesson. Yes, so that's how I do it. You know, again, it's using the steamer, it's using a hairdryer, and it's using this. So not only does this prevent sun damage, or it slows it down, it's still gonna happen, but if you're using this like every year, it's gonna take a while. Usually I get rid of my wreaths because I'm sick of them, like not because they've faded and they've fallen apart. Bernie, I'm so sorry if this stuff is just not of interest to you. But yes, this also protects from dust, moisture, and dirt. So it has several different things that are beneficial to your wreath lasting. All right. So I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of zhuzhing I have to do along with the steaming. But let's see. So on the back, this is what the back looks like. And these are all door scratchers. Okay, so what I like to do is if they're long enough, I like to take them and just weave them right back in to the wreath. Okay, now I started making wreaths when I was a teenager, so it's weird because I was such a bad teenager, so I don't know why I was doing this, but I was. I loved it. I love making wreaths for my mom and my grandmother. So there must have been a good side in me. But yes, like old school wreath making, you wired everything. There was no gluing. It was you wired. So this is really that same concept. You know, wire is going to outlast glue, but it's just not. It's like not good on your fingers. It's not going to cover everything like glue does. So if it's long enough, I like to weave it in between. And then if it's short enough, I'm going to cut it. And let me see. This guy is very safety driven. So after half an hour, he throws the power off. So we're going to let him heat up a sec. Sorry, I don't have a straw down here. It's so rude. All right. Right now I'm weaving these things. Yeah, so definitely leave me a comment. I'm curious if anybody else is using the UV spray or if you have any other tricks on how to really like extend the life of a wreath, because I think it's not only important that we be able to provide education to our customers, but also like it's just a great resource. And it doesn't mean there's, you know, there's not a right way or a wrong way, because I know people are like, why do you leave the stem sticking out? Why do you do it this way? And it's just what I'm comfortable with. And really, it's what you're comfortable with too. Whether you're learning or not, if somebody teaches you something and you don't like it and you have a different way that you're comfortable with, then that's how you do it. You know, this is a creative process. We can't follow, you know, somebody else's playbook 100%. There are things we might want to learn, and then there are things you just, you know, you take what serves you and you leave the rest. All right, so the ones that are just a lot shorter, I'm going to start to just trim them down. Okay, and when I'm trimming them, what I'm really doing is, it's so hard to see. Me making a squinty face isn't helping either. So what I'm really taking off is the piece that has the most glue on it. So what I'm going to do is, after I have trimmed these, I'm going to go back and add some glue to it. And usually I put moss over it. I use reindeer moss, and Amazon's delivering some today, so I'm not going to be able to show you that part. But usually just to cover up, like, you know, no one wants to know how the sausage is made. They don't want to see all the glue and all the stuff. So I'd rather keep it a more natural aesthetic, and so I use moss. You do want to make sure it's a moss that doesn't have a bunch of dye in it, like you want a natural moss. I bought one, I don't even know where the heck I got it, but it is just so fake. The color is fake, and I know that it would run if it got wet. So don't want to be damaging somebody's home. I want to be enhancing, not damaging. Okay, let's see. Are you ready for us? Why aren't you? Why are you on low? All right, he might not heat up in time. It's really not that important for you to have to see me glue, but what I am gonna do is I'm just gonna go around, I'm just gonna hit everything. Even the things that I've woven back in, I'm still just gonna hit it with glue. And then what I like to do, because I do like to go overboard with, you know, how secure everything is, and then I want this to last years and years and years, is I'm gonna then just go around and just kind of hit everything just at the base. Okay, because I don't want to go, if I start going in on top, what's going to happen is I'm going to leave glue strings everywhere I go, and then I'm going to have to use the hairdryer to get them out, and still it's going to be a much messier process. You're making me so sad. All right. Yes, so that's how I recommend doing it. All right, so here is our custom wreath for Candace, not Tracy. Tracy gets nothing. I know why I was saying it, because my other client, Tracy, has an order in. I was like, where did I get that? That's where I got it. You don't care. You don't need to know that. It's just me talking out loud. All right, so here is our petite cottage style wreath with peonies and hydrangea. If you should try this recipe or anything about the muscle memory piece, please let me know in the comment section. And do your girl a favor, please like, subscribe, and share. I have been pretty much MIA for a few months, and so I'm really looking to put, you know, some energy and some love back into this channel. So if you can help me, I would absolutely appreciate it. So thank you guys so much, and happy designing.